So does Hamas get immunity because they're there? So Hamas gets immunity. So
Israel has killed 3,500 children in the past 3 weeks. That's more children. That's more children than have died in conflicts around the world in each of the last 4 years.
So just to be clear, your logic is that if you're a terrorist group located in a densely populated community, you hide behind civilians, you are now immune.
So here's my one question to someone like Ben Shapiro. Here it is, right here. How many more kids have to die before you're going to think that the IDF needs to adjust their strategy? Anytime you win an argument with a liberal, what do? They call you a racist, they call you sexist, they call you homophobic, they call you a white supremacist. So what happens every time you win a debate with some Zionist? You're a pro-Hamas terrorist sympathizer. Explain to me how Ben Shapiro's any different. How is he any different? Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I've been away for a while, but there's been some stuff happening in the world, clearly as you can see from the title of this video, that has me wanting to be here to make a video about it. And I've taken some time, and my thoughts haven't gotten any more calm, haven't gotten any more diplomatic, I guess you could say. They've only gotten more angry, and it's just watching some people just take their brain out of their head and throw it to the side, all because of, you know, the sweet, beautiful, innocent, wonderful, innocent, moral Israel. Oh, it's so beautiful. We'll always support. Ridiculous, pathetic. Now, I understand that my audience here is mostly that I'm conservative, because I've sort of made my my following as it stands right now, my very small following, basically owning the libs, owning the transes and stuff like that. But I think it's time that we start to sort of expose the fake intellectuals in the world. And, I mean, we'll start with somebody who's not exactly intellectual. And this is really what sums up this entire thing for me. So I'm almost summing this up at the beginning, almost burying the lead here. But we have Michael Rappaport, who, you know, not exactly known for his conservative views or whatever, but he seems to be pretty aligned right now with a lot of these neocons in the world. Never been more proud to be Jewish, never been more scared. So it's basically him talking about how great it is to be a Jew. All the while, kids are being blown up, murdered, hospitals are being destroyed, schools are being bombed, refugee camps are being attacked because we think that there's like one Hamas guy there, oy vey, or whatever it is, however it is that they talk over there. But he's proud. I guess he's proud of that. He's proud of how they're behaving, proud of how they're acting. And just for some context, that was tweeted yesterday on the 10th of November. So we're a month into this, and this month has made him so incredibly proud, which says a lot, I think, about him. But he's not the only one who thinks that. There's a lot of people that are really proud of the way that the IDF is behaving right now. They'll literally walk you through blown up schools and be like, well, they were shooting bombs from here. Oy vey. Oh, that makes you proud. Okay. That makes you proud. I always thought that Michael Rappaport was a piece of garbage. And you can see from the hypocrisy of it all, like, he's super proud of what Israel's doing to Palestinian kids, but, you know, if a guy is taking a bunch of drugs and then happens to die, or a guy pulls a gun on a police officer and gets shot, if he's the proper shade, if he's not white, then that's a giant problem to him. But, you know, that's only on the mainland. If you're not white on the mainland, then you're one of the good ones. I guess according to him, I guess that's how he views it. But let's break down what exactly is that he's proud of happening. You know, we'll set this premise up by the facts of everything. Because what we have to understand is that what I'm about to present here isn't being exactly denied. It's just being justified. So remember that. Remember that none of what I'm about to say in the next minute or so is being denied. But it is being justified. They are talking their way into justifying it. So let's look at some of these numbers here. 2,944 women, 4,812 children, 46 journalists, 190 doctors and nurses, 10,203 civilians in total have been killed by the IDF in the last month. remember, these numbers are not being disputed by the Zionist. They're not being disputed. They're being justified. They're being justified. They're not being argued. They're being justified. They're not being denied. They're being justified.
WHO is it that supplies the UN with these so-called facts. Who is it that supplies the UN with these so-called facts? Is this information coming from unbiased and impartial third parties? The answer is no. Every piece of information regarding the situation on the ground that this council receives comes from Hamas, not international UN employees in Gaza. I will remind the Council that Hamas, a genocidal terror organization, controls every facet of Gaza. Every number from the so-called Ministry of Health is Hamas. Many UNRWA workers in Gaza are themselves members of Hamas. The time has come to bust the myth of UN-supplied facts. This council is being spoon-fed lies by the very same terrorist organization that deliberately murdered and maimed thousands of innocent Israelis just 34 days ago. Hamas has ensured that every square meter of Gaza is under their complete reign of terror. Many ambulances drivers are Hamas members. Local contributors to international media are Hamas members. We saw this week that innocent photojournalists for Reuters and the New York Times not only documented Hamas's horrors, but crossed into Israel to film them with the terrorists themselves.
Let's get into the mindset of people that would justify this. Let's start with Dave Rubin, Mr. Free Speech. Remember him? Remember Dave Rubin, who was like a lefty at the Young Turks, and then left because he was like, oh, I'm like a libertarian. I believe in free speech. Well, here he is saying that people wearing pins and flags while on the job is just ludicrous. Now, why is that? Why can't they wear a Palestinian flag or a lapel? When if they were wearing an Israel one, you wouldn't be saying anything. In fact, if they were wearing an Israel one and they were getting the treatment that people that were wearing a Palestinian one were in the video that you posted, Dave, you'd be talking about, like, look how violent and uncouth these pro-Hamas people are, even if they're not pro-Hamas, because that's what they also do. They equate Hamas to Palestine because that's the easy thing to do. It's the same thing that the left does when they equate even the most basic, conservative value to like Nazism or white supremacy. Remember that? Remember how everything is white supremacy? Well, now everything that isn't, Israel, kill everyone is a pro-terrorist thing. So if you're not supporting terrorism, you're for terrorism. Because terrorism's okay as long as it serves the proper purpose. Another thing that Dave Rubin is trying to attempt to say is that if Hamas was winning again, that the mainstream media morons wouldn't be calling for a ceasefire. Maybe people are calling for a ceasefire because of how dominant Israel is being. Maybe they feel like we want a ceasefire because Israel's overstepping their bounds with all those children that they're killing, and all these hospitals that they're bombing, all these schools that they're taking out. Did you ever think that that's the reason why? That this has nothing to do, but this is what they want. They want to think that someone like me is terrorist. They want people to think that I'm pro-terrorist because I want Israel to stop killing kids. I think you've done enough. That's why we want a ceasefire. That's why someone like me wants a ceasefire, is because of that. But then there's people that will turn around and say, oh, why are all these pro-Palestinian people wearing a mask? Are they afraid of COVID? Well, for people that followed this channel, I'm not a mask wearer. I, in fact, got fired from my day job at the beginning of 2022 for not getting the shot, for not getting the jab. So what do you got to say about it now? You can't just position this as like it being a bunch of unnecessary, Pfizer-ized people that are doing this. So what do you have now? You got nothing now. You got nothing to say now. And I know people in the comment section are going to say the same thing. No, you got nothing now. You can't position me as being one of them because I'm the exact opposite of one of them. So do you got any other argument you have? I bet you don't. But maybe you do. Maybe you got some little justifications, and we'll get to those. We'll get to the wonderful justifications that people are having for why it's okay for these thousands of kids to be killed. And that brings me to Ben Shapiro, King Zionist himself. Somebody who I think a lot of people here could agree, myself included, is somebody who got people politically motivated, got people politically involved and politically engaged with some of his, pimp, thug life meme videos and stuff from 10 years ago. But the fact of the matter is that we all should have saw it coming. And for those of you that don't know, I've been on Ben Shapiro for at least, 6 months? Made a video about it. The people on here didn't like. Got a lot of pushback on that. Well, strap your yarmulkes on because you're about to push back again. Ben Shapiro has been the king of justifying what's been happening over there. He, frankly, as somebody who just talks really fast to sound smart. But when you really break down what he's saying, he's not saying anything truly masterful. He was just one of the first ones to really do it, to really do the dunking on people stuff. But in the reality is, all he's doing is he's out debating autistic trans college students and woke idiots, which isn't exactly peak intellectualism. Literally, most people could do that. If you got half a brain and a mild understanding of how the world works, you could own the same people that Ben Shapiro owns so easily. It's like we're propping up Ben Shapiro when we really should have been this whole time just not necessarily propping up his debate opponents because they're all complete morons or they don't have the mental capacity to be able to debate somebody properly because of said mental issues. Here's Ben Shapiro talking about how, the journalism about Hamas is just such an issue. The distinction between the press and Hamas in Gaza is extremely vague. All journalists in Gaza are either propagandists for Hamas or threatened by them. There is no freedom in Gaza. You're right, there isn't. But the freedom is actually from the IDF side because it was actually revealed that the IDF isn't allowing anyone with any type of news credentials to follow them around unless they get pre-approval on what's released. That is exactly what propaganda is. That's not a free press. That is the IDF, that's a military, deciding what news gets out and what news doesn't. So do you think, for a second, now I know everyone says that the IDF is the most moral military of all humankind in history, whatever that even means. But if they're that, why would they need that type of pre-approval before things get released? Why would they we need to make sure every single picture and every single piece of video footage, every second, is pre-approved before we let you leave with it? That is exactly what propaganda is. And yet people will just dismiss that and ignore it and be like, oh no, that's fine. They don't want like pro-Hamas propaganda to get out. They don't want there to be a misframing of the things that they're being released. That's what they'll tell you, but that's literally what they're doing to their own footage. So they'll show that they bombed a school, but then they'll quickly be like, oh, see, there's a launching pad, and then like there's a wall where there's paintings. They won't actually like show and demonstrate any of these things. It's just a blown up building, and they're like, well, this is the launching pad underneath all these rocks that we can't lift because they're very heavy. Is a launching pad. Isn't Hamas terrible? And then people will be like, oh my God, there's a launching pad there. I didn't actually see one. I just got shown a bunch of destruction, a bunch of walls that are destroyed. I didn't actually see one, but they said it's there, and they're the most moral military of all time. They would never do anything wrong. They're doing everything they can to avoid civilian casualties. They're only bombing schools because that's where Hamas is. It's not their fault that kids go there. What are they supposed to do? Not kill the terrorist? And then they'll criticize the people protesting and stuff, but then what they don't do is there are some real good detectives out there on the internet who get photos like this, where you can see, oh yeah, it looks like a pro-Palestine person to me, until you realize they have the Star of David tattooed on their neck. Yeah, I'm sure a pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas person would be rocking the Star of David tattoo for sure. For sure. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm sure they come up with some sort of reason for it. I've tried to stop myself from getting angry. But this is the part where I fail to keep that up. This is the part where I start to feel everything that Cenk Uygur must feel every time he talks about anything. Because what we're about to hear is we're about to hear Ben Shapiro. I said that they do this, and he's going to do it. We're going to listen to Ben Shapiro not deny that the IDF is bombing places where they know children are, and where they think a minimal amount of Hamas people are located at best. But he's going to justify it. He's going to make this anything but the IDF's fault.
Hi, if Israel is justified in killing civilians because of the acts of terror committed by Hamas, why isn't Hamas justified in doing what it did? Because Israel is keeping 13,000 children. It has tried them in military courts. Since the establishment of Israel, 55,000 Palestinian homes have been bulldozed. So why isn't Hamas justified in doing what it did if we use your logic?
So I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind. Is that all right? So so my answer is that Israel would not be justified in killing Palestinian civilians because of the actions of terrorists. Israel would be justified in attempting to kill terrorists, and civilian casualties are a cost of war. That is just a reality of life. During World War II, there were 70,000 Brits who died during the Blitz bombing, and there were 2 million Germans who died, civilians who died during World War II. And I don't see a lot of monuments in Britain because of the 2 million civilians who died in Germany. The costs of war are brutal, they're terrible, they're horrifying. There's a vast difference in moral scope between deliberately going into a civilian area and murdering everyone you can find and trying to kill a terrorist who is deliberately hiding beneath a civilian area, hiding their rockets in civilian areas, starving their own people. There is a vast difference. Okay, so now I get to ask my question, if you don't mind. So my question is, do you believe that there is a moral difference between Hamas going into, for example, Kfar Aza and murdering entire families, and Israel attempting to target terrorists and accidentally hitting civilians?
You hear that? Accidentally hitting civilians. No, that's not an accident. If you know they're there. You know they're there. You just said you know they're there. They're hiding where there's civilians. So it's not an accident. You're not accidentally killing these kids. You're doing it on purpose and then being like, well, what are we supposed to do? Not kill the terrorists?
Israel is effectively doing the same because Gaza is the most densely populated region in the world. There are 15,000 people per square mile.
So does Hamas get immunity because they're there? So Hamas gets immunity. So
Israel has killed 3,500 children in the past 3 weeks. That's more children. That's more children than have died in conflicts around the world in each of the last 4 years.
So just to be clear, your logic is that if you're a terrorist group located in a densely populated community, you hide behind civilians, you are now immune.
Where are the children meant to go?
So you're immune. Okay. That's a violation of the Geneva Conventions, but okay. You're now immune. Your logic is that if you're a Hamas terrorist...
Since 2005, 23 out of every 24 conflict deaths have been Palestinian.
So here's my one question to someone like Ben Shapiro. Here it is, right here. How many more kids have to die before you're going to think that the IDF needs to adjust their strategy? And I'll tell you what the answer is, because it's a rhetorical question. The answer is none. There is no number. There is no limit. You just heard him say it. There is no limit because they're just going to say it was an accident. Oh, it was an accident when you bombed that refugee camp where there was 400 refugees because you thought there was, one Hamas guy there? That was an accident. That was an accident. We accidentally killed those civilians. I mean, we were just trying to kill the terrorists. We weren't actually trying to kill anyone else. We knew they were all there, and we knew they were all going to die, but it was an accident because we were going after the terrorists. That's not an accident. You're a liar. You're a piece of shit. You're a dumb motherfucker. That's what you are. Stop propping up dipshits like Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin like they're some intellectual superior. Congratulations. Like I said, you can out-debate some autistic kid who barely knows what even the world is because they don't live in the same reality as everyone else because of their mental issues. Congratulations, you can out-debate some woke trans college student who spends more time in their college life wondering what bathroom they're supposed to use than actually reading anything. So all they have is these predisposed comments to make and only one level of thinking because they don't actually think in an intellectual way. Congratulations. You can out-debate those people, you dumb fuck. But what happens when people actually call you on your shit? You run and you hide, and then you say everything was an accident. You say that, oh, well, you just do what they do. Anytime you win an argument with a liberal, what do? They call you a racist, they call you sexist, they call you homophobic, they call you a white supremacist. So what happens when every time you win a debate with some Zionist? You're a pro-Hamas terrorist sympathizer. Explain to me how Ben Shapiro's any different than these woke idiots that he keeps winning debates on when he goes on these college campuses to give his speeches for the Young America's Club or whatever the hell he does. Young Republicans and any of that crap. How is he any different? How is he any different? Because he'll justify the killing of kids as some sort of accident, even though they know they're there. And he says, even in the sentence before that, that he knows that they're there. So it's not an accident. It's like, this is where the terrorists are. We see that this is a residential area, so there's residents there. Oh, we killed them by accident, though. We were really hoping that the bomb that we dropped would land directly on the terrorist's head and only blow him up. Like some sort of like Wile E. Coyote Acme bomb. Oh, an accident. I know this is a lot of convoluted shit that I was saying. I was maybe a little too rambly for some of you, and I don't give a fuck. Because the only people that are going to sit in here that are going to complain are people that I don't want to be associated with anyway. Zionist fucks. People who are so willing to talk badly about Democrats and their relationship with Ukraine while simultaneously gagging on the cock of Israel like a bunch of pussies. Now I understand. Hey, remember, Tel Aviv is the gayest place in the Middle East. So it's no wonder that, yes, supporting Israel's gay as fuck. See how that works, conservatives? See how that works, Republicans? Thanks for reminding me that I'm maybe not actually a conservative person, that I'm actually a real libertarian. Not like Dave Rubin, who wants free speech so people can call gay people fags, but doesn't want people to be able to support Palestine without being kicked out of school, fired from their jobs. You know, maybe I'm the real one here. Yeah, maybe I'm patting myself on the back a little bit, but I know for a goddamn fact I ain't with Ben Shapiro. I know for a goddamn fact I'm not with Dave Rubin. I'm not with Michael Rappaport. And those are people on completely different ends of the political spectrum, completely different ends of the religious spectrum, completely different ends of the sexuality spectrum. So I'm targeting them all, baby. I ain't afraid of any of them. And if you don't like it, leave it in the comment section below and let's go. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you all you people that are about to justify the death of these kids. Okay? Someone breaks into your house, grabs your kid, stands behind them in a room, and holds them as a human shield. Right? Cops come. Every time the cop pokes his head around the corner, the person shoots in their direction. So then the cops decide they're going to spray bullets into the room, killing everyone. But they got the shooter, right? So you would accept that. Oh, my kid's dead. But they got the shooter, and that's what matters, right? Or would you expect them to be a little smarter? If there was a school shooter who went into a classroom full of kids and lined all the kids up in front of him, and every time the police poked their head around the corner, he shot in their direction, and the cops decided they're going to just shoot up the entire room, and their justification for that was, well, we had to get the shooter. Would you accept that answer? Would you accept that answer? You wouldn't accept that answer. You'd be like, you couldn't come up with a different way, maybe, to get the guy. You had to just shoot the whole room and kill all those kids in the process. You would not accept it. Period. But you'll accept it when it's a world away, where it's not even like, it doesn't even feel that real to you because you're so physically removed from it, that you'll just justify it because, oh, I'm a Republican conservative, so I'm supposed to support this. Because I don't have an actual brain and I can't think for myself. I'm just like the libs. Because you are just like them. You're no different. You just think different. You just think on differently on different subjects. But the thought process is all the same with you. So come at me. Let's go. I'm ready. Bye.